Hello, I'm Brandy Hagerbeck of LoseTube.com, and here is another Studio Tuesday. Today is February 20th, 2018. I am sitting at my desk in my guest room with all the lights on in front of my webcam. Here in Chicago, it is gray. It has been gray. I don't remember the sun. Today it happens to be really warm, but it's rainy, and I only talk about the weather because we've officially hit the point where it's like, oh, it is so gray. It is so hard to think when it's just gray, 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 gray. So at the moment, I've got every possible light on. Got my studio lights up. I've got the light behind me. I've got a light in front of me. One, to keep me awake and keep me vertical, but two, because I just recorded a draw together session with Dan Rome. So Dan Rome, you know Dan Rome. If you don't know Dan Rome, you need to know Dan Rome. Author of The Back of the Napkin, blah, 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 When Words Don't Work. Draw to Win, which is his latest and greatest. And Dan also has many, many books. He also has something called the Napkin Academy. And that are those are the folks who, it's a membership program for folks where they can keep on developing their visual thinking skills. Great lessons, great guests, all sorts of good resources in his membership program. And part of that is these sessions called Draw Together. So he invites visual thinkers of all stripes to join him for these conversations. And very, very happy that today was the day that we recorded our session together. So it went by too quick. That's my only complaint. Is just pinging back and forth and in conversation with each other, and it's like zoom, it was over. So webcam setup, light setup, so that I could be on his draw together session. I'm going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek to hopefully whet your appetite and have you join him over there. So I'm going to quickly share screen. So here is what we did was on this call we used a program called Ziteboard. That let us, it's a whiteboard program that we could work collaboratively. So what you're seeing here is actually our rehearsal last week where we were just practicing with drawing on the screen. So you can see, you can add things as we go. And for this guy over here is the, I can actually change colors here. Oops, I'm going to change this to red. So this guy over here is actually the Power Peanut. We were talking about my peanut butter protein shake I was drinking. So with the Power Peanut, and then it went, the poor peanut with its cape and all its wonderful protein went into the blender and made into a smoothie, and then went into my mouth. So that is the practice that we had last week, and then today he used this to introduce the session and introduce me, and I think this is pretty snazzy. It lets you so he created this graphic in the background here, and then we talked about it and added drawings around those graphics as we went. And then one thing, the bulk of the program, and then we talked about here's an example of something, a couple different drawings. We talked about those guys, and then the format of this is he pulls 5 quotes from the Idea Shapers from his guest's book, and we draw out each of those quotes, and then he puts each of the quotes behind a door. So in this case, we started with door 4 and went from there. So that's just a little sneak peek. I want you definitely to check out his program, see what he's about. Fantastic resources always. The most time I've spent with him was when he came and was one of our keynote speakers at the International Forum of Visual Practitioners conference. I think that was the one in Austin, if I remember correctly, and one of the absolute best presenters I've ever seen. And I've had over 20 years of watching and mapping presenters for a living. So I have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And he is absolutely fantastic. And not surprisingly, the way he uses visuals to support what he is saying is just the creme de la creme. That's it. So that was the draw together that we did today. So that was great, energizing, a good boost away from the gray doldrums of Chicago. And let's see, what else do I have going on here in the studio? Yesterday, I launched 3 new labs. So registration is open for 3 new labs. If you are not familiar with the lab, it is my 3-day immersion into the world of visual thinking, deep dive into visual thinking through the lens of graphic facilitation. So what that means is we get to nerd out about visual thinking, and the format is that for 3 days we will be making large-scale live drawings, like graphic facilitators do in their role. But it's a really beautiful combination of doing the work at the wall, and getting hands-on practice, and then stepping back, observing, reflecting, having these really rich discussions around the work. Tons of questions, tons of answers, tons of learning from each other. That's one of the things that I really love to see is that folks, I'm probably, one of the major reasons that bring them in the door is they want to work with me, which is great. And at the end of the 3 days, how often people say how incredibly rich and productive and wonderful it was, that how much we all learn from each other. Because every person comes into the lab with their own experiences, their own questions, and we get to see how much everyone grows in those 3 days. So great. So this definitely is not a sit and be lectured at kind of format at all. It is very much getting your hands on the work, talking about the work. Oh, I love it. And I call it the lab because it very much is a space for experimenting and trying things out. Let's see. So 3 new labs, like I said. We had one in January here in Chicago. Went beautifully. My beautiful favorite space, Summit Executive Center on Michigan Avenue. Super easy to get to. Great location. Tons of hotel options. Tons of food options everywhere. Very easy to do some Chicago sightseeing. So that was in January, and now these are the next 3, shouldn't say last 3, but the next 3, the remaining 3 labs of 2018. So if you want to work with me this year in this gorgeous small group format, I only invite 6 people to join me. So the 7 of us in a room together for 3 days, just completely nerding out. You've got 3 more opportunities this year. So the next one will be in Rungsted, Denmark, which is about a 30-minute train ride north of Copenhagen. And this is the 3rd time I'm returning to this gorgeous, gorgeous location. I will not pronounce it correctly. Something like Rungsted. I think I'm getting closer. 3rd time I'm returning to this gorgeous, gorgeous space. It's on the seaside. Beautiful meeting rooms. I love our room that we picked. We've got these gorgeous views of the woods. The one side of Rungsted has it's on the seaside. So one side is all the sea. Behind it are woods. So our room is this gorgeous, windows facing the woods. It's wonderful. It's about it's kind of basically halfway between Elsinore, where Kronborg Hamlet's castle is, and Copenhagen. It's a fantastic location. And we're returning for the 3rd time. I'm also returning there because it is, the lab is going to happen just a few days before UViz starts. So UViz is this gorgeous, giant visual thinking conference that'll be happening that final week of July, first day or so of August. UViz, EUVIZ.com to find out details. So you get 3 days to nerd out in a very, very small group, 2 days for R&R and kind of hitting your reset button, and then 250 people show up, and it's just this like crazy drawing, graphic facilitation, visualization bonanza. So that is the next lab is July 25th, 27th in Denmark. The next one is 2 weeks later, and that is in Hamburg, August 13th to the 15th. So again, same trip. I will then be teaching a lab in Hamburg. And new location. I've been to Hamburg once. Really looking forward to going back. Really love the city. It's one of those, certain cities resonate with you. Hamburg's my kind of city. So I'm looking forward to going back. It'll be a new venue, hopefully fantastic. And then, like I said, that's August 13th to the 15th. And then the final lab of 2018 will return back in Chicago, October 17th to 19th. October is my favorite month. Chicago is my favorite city. I am really looking forward to hosting you and having you in my favorite city. Beautiful time of year. Hopefully we'll have some nice fall colors. Yeah, so each of those labs has 6 spots. So if you're interested, hop on over to loosetooth.com/lab to find lots of details there. One small thing, not a bad thing, I've switched the way that you register. For the past 5 years, I've used basically like a PayPal button to register, which worked for most people, but every so often folks would have, especially international folks, would have kind of some hiccups with registering through PayPal. The nice thing is I've now migrated the registration to the same platform that I use for my online courses, which is Kajabi. So seamless, easy peasy checkout with credit card, super simple. And also I really like that it's integrated with the courses, so that if you have signed up for any courses already, or you sign up for courses in the future, all of your login information, like once you log in to my library of resources, you can access everything. Now, in the particular case of the lab, it's a live event. So there isn't going to be a whole lot of an online component. But the really cool thing about this platform is that it just gives us a kind of like our own little hub. So I can send out information through that, through your own little hub there. When we're in the lab, sometimes we'll come up with resources that we want to share, questions we want to keep on talking about. Occasionally we record a session. This Kajabi platform makes it super easy for me to upload any of those kind of resources and keep them sort of, again, have their own little home for the 6 of you. So that's another plus, aside from the easier registration and checkout process, is we've got our own little hub. Hubbity, hubbity, hub. Hooray. So 3 new labs. Again, the first one is July 25th through 27th in Denmark. The second one is Hamburg, Germany. Someday I'll figure out which A that is supposed to be. That is August 13th to the 15th. And then back in Chicago, October 17th to the 19th. And if you click on any of the register buttons on the lab page, or if you go to courses.loosetooth.com, that's the main kind of library resource page. If you click on the lab, you'll see a video there. And in that video, I don't want to repeat too much because it's very easy to go and watch that. But the video, I talk a little bit more about the format of the lab. And also I describe some of the main motivations that bring people into the lab. So if you're thinking like, I'm not sure this is for me, take a look at that video, see if it resonates, see if it's like the right choice for you. I'd absolutely love to see you in the labs. They're really, really wonderful experiences. I'm very, 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 very happy to host and hold and create for you. So that is what else is happening in the studio. So thing number 1 is Draw Together with Dan Rome. Thing number 2 is launching the 3 new labs, the remaining labs for 2018. And what else is going on? So mostly just trying not to fall asleep in the gray weather. And again, working on the different kind of profiles of visual thinkers that I was talking about last week in the Building Paper Bridges video. Do I have any paper bridges over here on my very messy desk? Nope, I think they're sitting somewhere else. So if you're curious about that, check out the last video, and then that'll make sense, the paper bridges. But mostly it's just, again, working on online courses, trying to get things squared away, trying to make all this make sense to you, because I think, these are all really, 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 really fantastic tools, and that, it's my job, it's my work. It's raining like crazy. It's my job, and my work is to make visual thinking accessible, learnable, kick-assable for you. Because I want you to pick up paper and pen, make drawings for yourself, make meaning for yourself, make meaning for the groups you work with, and all that awesome, awesome, awesome work. So that is the Studio Tuesday, the report from the front. And hope you are well wherever you are watching. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you next time. Take care.